President Crawford, you say that once you become an admiral, everything you say is right. You should try becoming a coach. Because then everything you say will be wrong. Guys, can you believe it's been 10 years? Over 10 years. I'm ready to go right now. You ready? We got Philly U tomorrow. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of tonight's honorees. Your accomplishments are well documented, and your induction into the Felician University Athletics Hall of Fame is well deserved. I'd also like to echo some of the previous speakers and say what we are all thinking. After almost 2 years we have all experienced, it's just nice to be together to share this evening and celebrate the success of Felician athletics. With that in mind, I'd like to talk, and before I talk about the team, I do have some acknowledgments and thank yous. First of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for bestowing this honor upon us. We appreciate it. I think it's also appropriate to acknowledge my predecessor, Coach Del Harrison. Coach Harrison recruited these players and put this team together. He obviously saw in them what I eventually saw also. They were winners. Now, I don't think all of these people are here tonight, but I would like to publicly acknowledge them nonetheless. And these thank yous not only apply to our championship season, but really to all of the years I coached at Felician. First off, I'd like to thank the Director of Athletics, Ben J.R. Dinello, for his support and guidance throughout my tenure, and for giving me the opportunity, along with Vice President of Student Affairs, Sue Chalfin, to be the head men's basketball coach here at Felician University. A big thank you to Sports Information Director Mark Mentone, the hardest working man in athletics.
Yeah.
What? Mark was always there to provide whatever I needed quickly, and that includes preparations for tonight's ceremony. Dennis Huzzy, announcer extraordinaire. But he's more than that, and he's always willing to do whatever is asked of him for athletics, and he was a huge help to me during my time at Felician. Alfredo Castro, who is the faculty athletic representative at the time that I was here, and I'm sure not even our honorees tonight understood how much he did for them behind the scenes. The athletic academic advisor at the time, Anthony Scardino. Although he was very busy, he always had time for me or for a student athlete who needed assistance academically. Thank you, Anthony. And I'd like to thank a group, some of whom are here tonight, our fans. As a program, we had an enormous fan base. Fellow students, family, friends, and especially the parents of our players, cheering and supporting us home and away, win or lose. And as fans, they traveled so well. They were present at every away game, even in North Carolina, and some of them brought food. And some of those fans I speak about also included my own family and friends, some of whom are here tonight. Thank you for your support and love, and thank you for being here. It also, unfortunately, includes some who have passed on and are not with us anymore physically, but will always be with us spiritually. That group includes Sister Teresa Mary Martin. She was obviously the president of Felician at the time that I was the head coach, and is one of tonight's honorees. I'll never forget the sight of her and Sister Tarsi entering the gym in Massachusetts during our NCAA tournament game. They had driven 4 hours from New Jersey in a rainstorm, but now it's been over 10 years, so they actually drove 12 hours in a hurricane uphill the whole way. But I just remember the sight of them scurrying into the gym, holding their umbrellas, sitting in the first row. The game was almost over, but I just remember thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. Speaking of those not with us on earth anymore, I'd like to talk about Coach Russ Weeby. I know Devon is going to talk about him, but I would just like to say a few words about him also. Dr. Russ Weeby was a professor and assistant men's basketball coach at Felician before he unexpectedly passed away the spring before I arrived. While I never had the pleasure of working with Coach Weeby, I did know him as a fellow assistant coach in the conference prior to my becoming the head coach at Felician. I always enjoyed my interactions with Russ whenever I crossed paths with him on the road, scouting, or recruiting. The more I got to know him, the more I could tell he was a solid individual. So it was no surprise to me when I arrived at Felician to learn how much the players loved him and that they wanted to dedicate that season to his memory. I can tell you his spirit was with us that whole season, and he definitely played a part in that comeback against Philadelphia University. Now, speaking of that comeback, when discussing this season, ultimately the focus is always on that comeback win against Philadelphia University. It was in the semifinals of the conference tournament. And while that was an epic comeback, a game for the ages, and will go down as one of the greatest games in school and conference history, I do want to remind you all that we did win 23 other games that year. Including, as JR mentioned, the very next day when we played a very good Golden Beacom team, a team who had beaten us just a couple weeks earlier, and defeated them for the conference championship. Now, when talking about the team, I can go over all the statistics, points, rebounds, etc. I can talk about all of the individual talent we had on the team, and that we were led by two players who have previously been inducted into the Felician Athletics Hall of Fame as players, Devon Young and Antoine Oberg. But statistics and individual talent do not tell the success story of this team. When I think of this team and why it was successful, three distinct words come to mind: brotherhood, sacrifice, and leadership. Brotherhood. This team was as close to each other as any team I've ever been around as a player or coach. They are all good people, and when you put good people together, good things will happen. They were great friends off the court, and that friendship transferred to the court and created a camaraderie and chemistry that was unrivaled by any of our opponents. It is common for athletic teams to refer to each other as family. Sometimes it's just lip service. But with this team, it was 100% true. They were brothers. Sacrifice. Because they were so close, it was easy for them to embrace the team-first concept and sacrifice personal accolades for the overall good of the team. And trust me, everyone on that team sacrificed. Every player was capable of contributing more, playing more minutes, and scoring more points, and that includes the two Hall of Famers. But we were deep at every position, had interchangeable parts, and could play different players according to the game situation. That depth also allowed us to weather injuries to two key players, C.T. Williams and Ethan Kennedy, and not miss a beat. They all accepted their roles on the team. Because of that, each player was a star in their role. And throughout the season, each player had big games for us and an opportunity to shine. And when someone shined, the others were genuinely happy for their teammate's success, even if it meant less playing time for them in that particular game. I am going to give you one statistic because it's relevant. That teamwork and selflessness led us to having 5 players average double figures in scoring for this season, which is a rare feat in the sport of basketball. Now, none sacrificed more than the 2 freshmen on the team, Anthony Green and Todd Fleming. It's not easy as a college freshman because in high school you're used to playing all the time and being a key contributor to your team. Then you get to college and you have to start all over again as a freshman. Sitting behind others, paying your dues, waiting for your time. While they both would go on to enjoy solid careers here at Felician, in the 2009-10 season, they didn't get much playing time. However, that does not diminish their overall contributions to the program or to our championship season. Thanks, Anthony and Todd, for being part of the program. Leadership. Leadership, or the lack thereof, can very often be the difference between winning and losing. All successful organizations enjoy leadership from within, and we were no exception. We had a mature veteran team, and as the season wore on, many of them emerged as leaders in their own right. I think of the quiet leadership by example of Ryan Mosley, Mike Edgell, and C.T. Williams, who accepted their place on the team, showed up every day, worked hard, and never complained. I think of the toughness Andy August exhibited on a daily basis, often bringing his teammates along with him. I think of Kashif Foster, who didn't say much on the court, but earned the respect of his teammates, so when he did speak, everyone listened, including the coaches. I think of Suquan Garrett, who had a knack for keeping practices loose. Sometimes practice can become tedious. Suquan always knew when to start clapping and get the guys chanting and dancing, thereby making practice a little bit more fun. Now, Suquan and Antoine O'Berry were the two best athletes on the team, but I think Suquan is a better dancer. All right? However, no one exhibited more enthusiasm for the game or a competitive spirit than Antoine O'Berry. And then there's Ethan Kennedy, who often led the team in pregame prayer, thereby reminding us that life is bigger than ourselves, and we all had a greater purpose. He could shoot the three too. But there was no bigger leader on this team than Devon Young. While others led in one or two ways, Devon led in all ways. He was our captain. Wise and mature beyond his years, Devon was the complete package. A great person, student, player, and leader. Not only a member of the Felician Athletics Hall of Fame, he has also been inducted into the Conference's Athletic Hall of Fame. Poised and composed at all times, Devon was always in control. When things would start to go a little haywire, all I needed to do was look at Devon and knew everything was going to be okay. He only cared about one thing, and that was winning. And he was the most unselfish superstar I've ever been around. He did a remarkable job keeping everyone focused on the same page and staying the course. By my estimation, over the 2 years I coached him, he held about 264 players-only meetings. Is that right, Devon? About right?
About 375.
375?
Who's counting?
See, I was going to say those are the only ones I know about. Rumor has it you called the meeting before tonight's ceremony, just because. But it is not an exaggeration to say that without the leadership of Devon Young, we would not be here tonight accepting this honor. Brotherhood, sacrifice, and leadership. It is a great luxury to coach a team with all three of those things in abundance. And players, I want to thank you publicly for displaying all of those attributes in large quantity and making it a pleasure for me to coach you. I look at all of you now as successful young men, and I'm proud of all of you. And some of them are actually coaches. You are a once-in-a-lifetime team. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Is anyone crying? If so, then I accomplished my goal. Someone's crying over there? No? So there you have it. I guess it's time to introduce them. Before I call everyone to the stage, I do want to recognize two people who cannot join us tonight. That is our two managers, Ralph Jocelyn and Rosa Mejia. For those of you who have ever coached, you know how invaluable good managers and support staff can be. And Ralph and Rosa were two of the best. They contributed enormously to our success. Please give them a round of applause. Okay, as I call your name, come up to the side over here, where JR will be handing out the awards. And we're going to start with the assistant coaches. Not only did I have two great managers, but I also had two great assistant coaches, Ivan Lewis and Brad Forestieri. Young at the time, enthusiastic, eager, they put in countless hours for the good of the program. Aside from scouting, recruiting, and on-the-court coaching, they established positive relationships with all the players, serving as a buffer between them and myself, and making it easier for them to accept a new coach and a different way of conducting our business. Thank you, Ivan and Brad. You would not be here tonight without their contributions. So come on up. Coach Ivan Lewis, who is the current head men's basketball coach at Collegiate, and Brad Forestieri. Okay, so let's get to the main reason we're here, the players. I'll begin with the players who unfortunately could not be here tonight, but let's please give them the applause they deserve. Todd Fleming, Ryan Mosley, and Andy August. Now to the players who are here. Anthony Green. Mike Edgill. Kashif Foster. Ethan Kennedy. C.T. Williams. Suquan Gary. Antoine O'Berry. And Devon Young. Ladies and gentlemen, the Felician University 2009-10 Central Atlantic Collegiate Conference Men's Basketball Champions and Felician University Athletic Hall of Fame. I'd like to introduce Devon Young.
This is my coach. On behalf of the 2009-2010 Felician men's basketball team, I just want to start off by thanking God for this opportunity. It's a blessing to be here tonight and inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank Felician University, everybody who was a part of this process and voting us in. To the fellow honorees, we have Rob, Sierra, Eric, Mickey, and Sister T. Congratulations tonight. I'm big on giving flowers, so I read on social media somewhere that JR had 25 years, Chris 20, Mark 15, and Coach I 5. So if we could just give them a round of applause right now. Mark, I got an email from you saying 3 to 7 minutes. I got an email for more time. I just gave you your flowers, just give you a couple more minutes. Quick story, my best friend gets married this weekend. He said, "You're gonna come to my rehearsal dinner, you're gonna visit us." I said, Kobe Bryant once said, "Friends come and go, but banners hang forever." Our family used to be here, you guys kind of redecorated here, but I was not missing tonight for no reason. When I was thinking about what to say tonight, I just want to share some stories that just helped you guys realize how special of a group we really were. Starting in 2007, 2008, it was a core 4 of us who were all freshmen here, myself, Kashif, Ryan, and Edgill. And we used to be in this gym and we used to get smacked by 20, 30. It was just bad. We didn't make the playoffs, but we all learned and grew from that experience. We had kids from Holy Family, D1 transfers. One had 30 shooting threes, one was baby LeBron, and we had a rough go on my first year. And it just shows how we were able to just stick through it. We didn't give up on each other. And then year 2, we just started changing the culture. We had Coach Ivan come in as an assistant. We had Ethan come in as a D1 transfer, dunk, shoot the 3. Then we had Ayo and Andy coming as freshmen. And you just start seeing the culture change at Felician. We ended up making the playoffs that year. We ended up losing to Philly U in the semifinals that year, but it's just taught us that stepping stones, we're getting there. And then year 3 happens. And that summer was the biggest thing that happened in Felician basketball history. It was year 3 that summer. First we started out with Coach Weedy dying, and it came out of left field. Nobody saw that coming, and as devastating as that was, it was motivation for us to keep pushing, keep getting better. And we ended up dedicating our season to Coach Weedy, and he was our guardian angel, and even though we lost somebody in him, we ended up gaining the pieces that we needed in order to become a team. So we ended up getting Coach D as our head coach. As we said, we had Coach Harrison, who laid the foundation. He recruited all of us. We had Weedy, who unfortunately passed away, who also helped lay that foundation. And we got Coach Brad, assistant coaching. We had our 2 transfers, CT and Suquan, and then as Coach mentioned, we had freshmen AG and Todd join the team. And I just remember coming in first day of our junior year, and the person who set the tone was Mike Edcho. He came in looking like Hercules. He used this as an opportunity to get in shape. This is a fresh start, and he really set the tone for everybody. You know, the first 2 years, you didn't look like that. And that 3rd year, you came back looking like a Greek god. And that really just helped set the tone on how the year was going to go. And we started out winning our first 7 games. We went down to Johnson C. Smith at HBCU. They're a very good team. We won that tournament. And we played IUP, who actually ended up playing the national championship that year. Close game, we ended up losing. I believe that was our first loss of the year, but that was like a stepping stone. Like, we're going to be actually a really good team. And then we started hitting some adversity. As you guys all know, we keep talking about Philly U. We never beat Philly U. There was 3 teams we never beat. It was Bloomfield, Philly U, and Golden Beacon. The 3 years leading up to that, we had never beat them. So we lost to Bloomfield and we lost to Philly U. So that was our first adversity. And then there was 2 stories, the most significant stories of the season that happened. First, me and Ethan, driving home. Ethan, you remember the story? You remember the story. So, you guys all know Felicia's on top of a hill. West Passaic right here. It's a little slope going down, and it's the middle of the snowstorm. You know, we're young, so I'm taking Ethan home, and we're driving down the hill. And I get to the stop sign, and my brakes won't work. Ethan starts praying. I'm at peace because I already got 1,000 points. Like, if I die, I die. I know you're a little nervous. And normally that intersection is very hectic, but we went right through. Eventually I was able to stop, and that was in my mind, Coach Weedy, you got us. Like, we should have probably died that day, but Coach Weedy got us. And then the second story comes at the most important practice of the season. Normally, your most important practice, everybody's getting after it. Guys really want it. This practice is different. Ralph, who was our team manager, who wasn't here tonight, never records our practices. He had one job that practice. come in, record. I just want you to follow around Antoine Aubrey. Just follow Antoine around the entire practice. And if you guys don't know Antoine's a little special. Like, he's a special basketball player and special, like you probably could put a helmet on him. Like, a little special. So, everybody knows what's going on, and Antoine doesn't see what's going on. Antoine's stretching. We're in layup line, Antoine's going through the motion, and we had film that day, and I kind of think it finally clicked for you. Like, in order for us to be a really good team, we all needed to be on the same page. And I feel like from that practice, everything just started clicking. We ended up winning 10 out of our next 11 games and 11 out of 13. We finally beat Bloomfield, but we had never beat. But we did lose to Goldie Beacom again. The good news about everything that happened to those 13 games was that we became the North Division champs. We had a banner, you guys redecorated here. We became North Division champs. We beat Bloomfield. And the bad news was that unfortunately during the last game of the season, we lost Ethan to injuries. And with that being Ethan's senior year, we decided to also kind of dedicate our postseason run to him and of course Coach Weeby. So now we're rolling, we're going to the playoffs. We played our first playoff game here in this actual gym, which does not look the same at all, but we play Dominican, we win that game, and then of course our next game is Philly U. And we all know what happened with Philly U, but there's 3 people who don't get enough credit for that game. We were down 23, we were down 10 with like 2 minutes left. It doesn't matter how much we're scoring. If we can't get stops, you're not gonna win the game. Like that game came down to defense in the second half. So CG, Ryan Edgell, fantastic job. Their point guard had 30 points the first time we played them. You guys completely shut them down, gave us a chance to win. Even Todd and AG, I know AG, he said he didn't play that much. I remember seeing him in the game. A couple minutes, I saw it. So then everybody knows we win that Philly U game. And even though that's the most talked about game, we still have one more game. Like even if we won that game and then lost the next day, like none of this matters. Like we wouldn't be up here. So we went into the championship game. If you ever played in a championship game, you understand the nerves. Can't sleep the night before, you don't really want to eat. So we're in that championship game and you feel all the feels in the layup line, and you guys know Anthony Green, he's funny without being funny. So as a freshman, only he could do this. In the layup line, he trips over the basketball, rolls his ankle, and cannot play in the game. So when that happens, as a team, you're just like, this could be devastating. But his charisma, his energy turned that into a funny thing, and then we were just able to realize this is just a game. Like we do this, we're here, we're gonna win this game, and then that's what ultimately happened. Goldie Beacom had Division I transfer, the big man. So then it's our big men this time. We had 3 big men, Sheaf, Suquan, and Andy came up clutch. He shot 6 for 17, and we held him in check. You guys did amazing offensively. So as you guys all know, we won the championship. Most of us were juniors and sophomores. I've never been the type of person to say what if. So like tonight, I'm not gonna say what if. So I won't say what if Ayo never got hurt. What if he never blew out his knee? I won't say what if Andy never transferred to Montclair State? I won't say that either. And I won't say, what if Ethan kind of got hurt earlier, he could have redshirted and then have him back another year? I won't say that. I won't say that. I don't believe in saying what ifs. For the longest time, I used to think that there was no greater accomplishment than us winning that championship. Like we changed school history, like this is the greatest thing we've ever accomplished. But as you get older, you just kind of start seeing life differently. And as somebody who lost their father 3 years ago, I understand the importance of having a father, having somebody to look up to, somebody who's always there for you, somebody who loves you unconditionally. And as great as basketball players that they are, they're even better fathers. So I just wanted to take the moment now to Coach Ivan with your 2 kids, Tyler with his son, Ryan with his 3 daughters, Edsha with your daughter, Ethan with your 3 kids, Ayo with your son and daughter, AG and Suquan with your sons. I just want to congratulate you guys on the fathers that you become. Wins, championship rings, all this stuff is cool, but at the end of the day, there's no greater love than what a child has for their father. So I commend you guys on the fathers that you've become. In closing, on behalf of the 2009-2010 Felician men's basketball team, I just want to thank Felician for allowing us to be the best time of our lives. I don't really like looking in the past to anything that happened. I'm like kind of a real present person, but when you just think about the friendships that we created, the memories that we have, they're everything. They're worth, there's nothing that can amount to how much it's worth. And there's no better feeling than accomplishing something with people who you find special, people that you love. Lastly, just want to thank Felician for bringing us here together. It's been 10, 11 years, and we just appreciate you guys dearly. Forever Felician.